Do I need to write a hook to make a good piece of music? Once you find the time to experiment, any plans to use Bitwig's CV Out with the new Moogs? I recently saw a Facebook thread not being too favourable around the numerous Midi packs out there. Hey guys, welcome to the Kane audio vlog. It is Friday. It's time for another Ask Me Anything. Usual rules apply. Comment anything you want below this video and I'll get back to you in next week's video. Looking at my screen, is there anything I need to cover before I look at last week's video? I don't think there is. So last week, the second track Memories came out on iTunes for any pre-orders. Then there is one more of those coming out next week. I want to say September 4th. I could be wrong on that. It'll be next Friday, whatever that is. And around that time, any of you who have ordered the album on Kickstarter, on CD at least, should be getting the entire finished piece on CD on or around or very soon after next week, I think. Yeah, so if Friday is the 4th, I think they'll start. They may have actually even started going out by then. So yeah, so I'm not entirely sure on that yet, but a lot of it is to do with postage logistics and survey logistics from Kickstarter and whatever, but that's where I'm aiming for. So yeah, so for those of you, and I know a lot of the regular viewers of this channel have pre-ordered the album on Kickstarter. Yeah, so expect hopefully in or around or soon after next week's video we should be good on that. For the digital download, I feel like that should come slightly after the CD, but we'll see. Other than that, there's nothing really major to update on. For those of you who care, I did upload a video that came out this week on this channel, which was part 3 of building this studio. It covers probably the most important bit for you guys watching this anyway, which was the acoustics. And I sort of cover about how much things can change by moving my subwoofer for having or not having acoustic paneling, and what kind of obstacles I came across. I think it's a fairly cohesive video, about as cohesive as any of my rambling rants go on for. So yeah, check that out. Which means, in terms of promised content for this channel, of which I know there's a lot, next in line I believe will be the Hackintosh series. So we are inching our way closer and closer to the Hackintosh beginning. I'm kind of thinking, because obviously I'm building that off the back of Patreon subscriber money, which link below if you want to get involved and support this channel. I just figured that I'd put that money aside for now and just sort of throw it back at making more videos. So I'm going to do like a Hackintosh on a budget basically, and yeah, we'll see where we go. Obviously with a view to making it for music producers, because I know there's a lot of people out there who would rather use a Mac for music production, but you know, Macs are just crazy expensive at the minute. So yeah, so there's that. Other than that, Spotify playlist is normally updated. I haven't actually updated it at the point of me recording this video, but chances are by the time you're watching this video, hopefully the link below to the Spotify playlist, I think I called it 5302 stuff, should be updated. On that note, I am filming this on Thursday evening, which means it is beer club, and I have a brand new beer today. a Daya double IPA, Sound Machine Groove, an ABV of 8%. And we'll give it a go. So yeah, I got these delivered earlier today. Other than that, I think that is it for house admin. It looks like it. I don't think there are many questions this week. Again, with the pandemic and everything, they're getting less and less questions each week, it seems. And I have sort of, made my promise and said I'm going to plow through anyway and just go ahead with it. Ooh, it's milky looking and hazy. And there we go. So yeah, I'm just going to plow ahead with these AMAs anyway, and hopefully at some point in the future. Oof, I can smell that. The questions will start coming back in again, because I know it used to be a lot busier. Hopefully these new titles will start bringing new people in as well. Well, so for those of you watching this on Friday night, probably, hey, could be Monday morning, I'm not judging. Cheers to you. Cool. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that is real nice. There's almost no bitterness in that, which is odd. Especially for a double IPA. Interesting. Okay, so as much as I'm treating this as beer club, I'm fully aware it's not beer club. So FanFan87, salut Dom, Ireland, high five. I guess there are a lot less questions due to vacations. I hope everyone will be back next month. Yeah, so it does seem like a lot of people are having vacations, or holidays as we call it. But I'm not sure if that's it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel like since the pandemic, and again, most of the YouTubers I follow, even the big ones, have sort of had a huge drop in regular viewers and whatever. And I think, I know that there were channels that I regularly viewed, and let's face it, other than types of work and amount of work and money and things like that, aside from that, the pandemic hasn't really changed my daily routine that much. But even still, I found myself, especially during when we were in major lockdown, I definitely found myself with new and different routines, and I don't know why that was. I think a lot of it was, if I'm honest, was because I think we were all a bit sort of concerned, I suppose, and watching the news a lot. And yeah, so rather than watching stuff on YouTube and just taking life for granted, and I think we all need to maybe sit down and absorb that fact for a moment. Pre-pandemic, we all really kind of took just daily life for granted. No matter what you were doing, we all took it for granted. And the fact that I could just watch a YouTube video without a care in the world, it's weird that we hark back to those days now. Very strange. Anyway, I received sometimes critics about some tracks of mine saying there is no hook, but I enjoy the atmosphere of the track more than the melodies. And when I listen to, let's say, techno or minimal progressive stuff, I can't find hooks or main themes. In your opinion, are those parameters essential for making a good song? So essentially what you're asking is, do I need to write a hook to make a good piece of music? And the answer is yes and no. Or no and yes. Maybe. So I think every good piece of music, I'm almost disagreeing with myself in my head while I'm saying this out loud, but I feel like every good piece of music should have some sort of hook. But I want to throw back to when I was talking to someone, it doesn't matter who, about mix engineering, and I was sort of flippantly saying I'm not a very creative person. I'm a bit more of I hear frequencies rather than notes, if that makes sense. And that person turned around and said, yeah, but you can still be creative with compressors. You can still be creative with equalizers and utilities and all of the tools at your disposal as a mix engineer. You can still be creative with those things. Even if you're doing things scientifically, you can still be creative with those things. So the reason I'm saying that is because traditionally we kind of think of a great hook being a great piece of melody or something catchy within the melody. That could be in the bass line or the top line, and it's usually the top line, let's be honest. But actually, I think in electronic music, and especially underground music, there's still something that, what is a hook? A hook is something that literally hooks you in to the piece of music. What is that? It could be repeated throughout the entire track. It doesn't need to be a cascading crescendo. It doesn't need to be a cadence at the end of a phrase, which is how we kind of traditionally. So I always use the Futurama theme tune as like the ultimate hook laced piece of music. What a great theme tune that is. Or the IT crowd. The IT crowd is basically the hook in all its variations on repeat, copy pasted throughout the whole piece of music. But I think equally the hook can be just a vocal. And again, if you talk to a pop musician or a pop producer, they would probably, if you said, what's your favorite hook, they'd probably start listing vocals and vocal hooks rather than anything else. Whereas actually, if you were to look at the birth of drum and bass and breakbeat was off, the back of things like the Amen break. Well, the Amen break was basically a hook, and that's just a little fiddle of a drum solo in the middle of a track. So in terms of there is no hook, I think for something to be a great piece of music, there needs to be something that hooks you in. What that thing is down to interpretation and maybe subjective. So maybe what you would call a hook, someone else doesn't call a hook. So I kind of have to preface all of what I've just said with that a hook is subjective, and it could be a vocal, it could be a bass line, it could be a drum fill, it could be any number of things. It could be a sweeping effects, it could be some sort of loop, it could be anything. It's generally something that kind of swings you back into the next phrase that keeps you hooked in as a listener. So I get what you're saying in that techno or minimal progressive, but actually I think you'll find there's probably quite a lot of hooks in there that you just didn't really realise were there. I think another example is Deadmau5, for example. He's fantastic at writing hooks, and I don't think he even knows it himself. His music is laced with hooks of varying degrees, whether it be bassline driven or rhythmic or melodic. There's always something in there that just grabs you, and so I think it's a weird one. So in my opinion, are these parameters essential for making a good song? That's why I'm kind of saying yes. So to an extent, no, because if you look at really stripped back minimal music, and I mean real minimalism music, not minimal techno, like Philip Glass or something like that, then, well, even still, if you look at Philip Glass, the repeated phrase is kind of the hook. I think what's making this question difficult to answer is the fact that, okay, yeah, here we go. So I think music that doesn't have a hook, I don't remember. So I'm naming all of these tracks that have great hooks, and I'm trying to think of a track that doesn't have a hook. But by definition of a track not having a hook, there isn't any substance for me to remember. And I think somewhere hidden in there is the answer to your question. If you want people to remember your music, what are they going to remember? They can enjoy something. Anybody can enjoy something. But to store it up here and remember it and to recall it at a later date is a whole different ball game. So I think us as musicians, we kind of need to think about that quite a lot, and we need to ask ourselves, okay, I've written this track, I love this track regardless. If I sent it to somebody, doesn't matter who, a friend, someone you never met, it doesn't matter, are they gonna be humming that melody or bass line or mouthing the drum fill or whatever, you know, in an hour's time, in a day's time, 2 days, 3 days, a week, month? At what point are they going to go, that melody always stuck in my head? Is it an earworm? And, you know, if you think of things like the IT Crowd theme tune, I could sing that straight away. Sure, I've heard it a million times because I've watched it a million times because it's one of the best comedies ever done. You know, the Friends theme tune, everybody does that clap with the Friends theme tune. That's the hook, isn't it? You know, the theme tunes are inherently hooky, which is why I'm using theme tunes as examples, because they're always, that's the beauty of a theme tune, is it grips you right from the word go. But the Friends theme tune, of course, the hook is the clap, and we all clap along, or at least jiggle our leg muscles or shoulders, or something goes. You cannot watch Friends and sit through the theme tune without flinching when that clap happens. Everybody watching this knows exactly what I'm talking about with the Friends theme tune. You know, that's the bit we all remember. It doesn't matter what the rest of the lyrics are. It doesn't matter how the melody goes. That clap is all you need to remember, and that's enough for you to go, yeah, the Friends theme tune, whatever, you know? So that in essence is what a hook is. It's that bit you remember. It's something that becomes an earworm. So in a sense, no, it's not essential for making a good song, because you could make a good song that people forget 5 minutes later. But if they forget it 5 minutes later, it's hardly going to be the stuff of legend, is it? So not that we all need to make the stuff of legend, but let's be honest, we'd love that in reality. You know, none of my music I don't think is really that memorable. I don't seek to make memorable music. I don't lace all of my tracks with hooks, but I hope there's something in there that people can recall. I hope some of you watching this have heard maybe one of my tracks and gone, I can remember how that sounds, or I remember the melody from this, or whatever. I don't know what other people remember from my music, but I hope there's something in there that becomes a hook. And, you know, I think the ultimate dream would be to write something as catchy as the Friends theme tune, or the Futurama theme tune, or the IT Crowd theme tune, because, you know, well, okay, maybe they're not other people's dreams, but for me, to be able to write something that catchy and that memorable, I think is a huge deal. I think that's just a massive legacy, to be able to achieve something like that. I really like this beer. Yeah. Moving on. Andrew Hollis, Ireland, high five. 2 questions this week. 1. Once you find the time to experiment, any plans to use Bitwig's CV Out with the new Moogs? Not talking full-on grid action, but the CV Out module that's been there for a while, assuming you have a DC-coupled audio interface. I don't actually. I don't think the Audient is DC coupled, so no, I'm not planning on taking advantage of that. However, as you can see, I've now put it in a 3-tier rack. The 2 synths I have are in a 3-tier rack, and I ummed and ahed about this when I ordered them way back when, and I ordered the rack way back when, and it only turned up this week, recently. I ummed and ahed because I knew I had 2 modules. Now, do I get a 2-tier rack, knowing that they make a 3-tier rack? And am I going to put 2 modules in a 2-module 2-tier rack and then go, oh, I'll buy a 3rd module at a later date? Or should I buy the 3-tier rack, knowing that that empty space is going to bug me, and then I'm going to be really wanting to fill that up? So I went with the 3-tier rack, thinking it would be wasteful to buy a 2-tier rack, because let's be realistic, ain't nobody really got enough synths, so I'm bound to buy another one day. And I kind of considered the DFAM, but I'm just not convinced it's for me. So I'm also kind of tempted to put in some Eurorack stuff in that 3rd module, in the 3rd space. So I don't know. However, I have been considering a change of audio interface, thanks to one of the guys, John, in the Kane Audio producer group on Facebook. By the way, check it out, there'll be a link below somewhere. Asked a question to the group and tagged me in it because they knew, or someone tagged me in it, I can't remember now. They knew I had the ADAT 8200 and they were trying to get it clock synced, and I didn't, and I responded saying I haven't actually set mine up in here, so I wasn't much help, to be fair. But that then made me go, oh, I should probably hook it up, and so I had to get some optical cables, blah blah blah. And off the back of setting that up, I've started wiring in some of my synths and getting everything permanently wired in now, which kind of ties in with what I was saying in part 3 of the studio build, that you know, I wanted to be able to get everything working before I start fixing it in position. So I'm getting there. Yeah, so basically, because the ADAT expansion, I kind of then thought, is it time to maybe upgrade my audio interface? And I'm not sure yet. So if any of you have a recommendation or have seen something that you think might be good in the world of audio interfaces, let me know, because I've not been in that market for a long time, because I've had this ID22 for ages, and big shout out to the guys at Audient. They gave me a great deal, and I've honestly not needed to even think about anything for a long time when it comes to sound quality and transparency and ADAT expansion. It's just been there for me. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking I might stick with Audient and see where it goes. So yeah, there we go. That's my answer to CV modules. Question 2. I recently saw a Facebook thread not being too favourable around the numerous MIDI packs out there. You know, the ones that are either annoying or are super loud and distorted. Adverts aside, I don't think I've ever seen an advert for a MIDI pack in my life. I mean, I guess I'm probably not in the market for them. But you would think, since I'm probably talking a lot about loops packs and things like that, you would have thought I'd be front and center for that advert market, but hey ho. Aside from that, I have no issue with them, and it allows you to express and get across the musical idea you want. So what? It's no different to Splice or Loop Cloud or just straight old sample ripping, in my humble opinion. Your thoughts? I agree. You know, you know, some people slag off loops packs, and I always think that's a weird thing to slag off, because electronic music was built on samples. It was, I mentioned earlier on, the Amen break. You know, had it not been somebody splicing up that sample and chopping it into its elements, and then handing it around to everyone, and then everyone in the world using the exact same chopped up samples, there would be hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, if not maybe even thousands of global hits that just wouldn't have happened. So in terms of MIDI packs, I've got no problem with people using that, and I think it's a good idea. In fact, I got given a template project last year by someone I was working with, who mentioned that they used basically a template project file that had, say, 15 different kind of somewhat generic melody ideas, and they, whenever they wanted to sort of just get some inspiration, they would use this pack, and they sent me a copy of it. Admittedly, I've never used it since, but actually I went through it, and I did think, oh, actually, yeah, I can see this working. You know, there were a couple of just you know, sometimes you might take the rhythm of a melody and just change all the notation to suit something else, or sometimes you might think, well, this interval structure works but the rhythm doesn't, and you want to move it around. And I think, you know, it's basically like next level sample packs as far as I'm concerned. A MIDI pack is letting you do the sound. So a sample pack is giving you the sound design, because that may be your weakness. But what if you want to change the notation of a melody? Well, you can't. Well, with the MIDI pack, it's a bit more stripped back. So I think if you're ever going to slag anyone off for using a pre-made MIDI pack, then you should definitely slag them off for using sample packs. And if you're going to slag someone off for using sample packs, then you basically need to slag off 99% of electronic music, because it's all ripped and sampled and whatever. So yeah, I honestly don't have any issues. I'm definitely one of those people where I think it's, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how you achieve a sound. It's about what comes out the speakers. That's the important bit. And I've always said the same for DJing. I don't care if you use a synchronize button. Why would that bother me? Why would it bother me that you've found a easier way of doing something? You know, it makes no sense. You know, to me, it's like having a go at someone for buying some eggs from a supermarket because they wanted fried egg on toast, rather than buying a chicken and bringing the chicken up and then getting the eggs themselves. I just feel like there are easier ways of doing these things, and somehow I've made an analogy of owning chickens compared to DJs using the synchronize button. Maybe this beer's gone straight to my head. I think that is probably a good place to end it. Finally, Yanis Lokmelis, or Lokmels now, Ireland, high five. Yeah, I think that is it, my friends. If you've made it this far into the video, then please comment the word cover, because I can see recommended Deadmau5 Strobe Nearbo's live cover. Might give that a listen. Yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. If you have joined me for Beer Club, then I hope you're enjoying your beer. If you're watching this as the video goes live, then you probably shouldn't be drinking a beer. But yeah, otherwise, have a good weekend, have a good week, and I'll see you same time next week. As usual, please do like, comment, subscribe, definitely share these videos as far and wide as possible, and I'll see you same time next week. Cheers.